Good day, everyone. My name is Rowan Horoff. I'm the business manager at Munro Forensic Actuaries. Welcome to our series of podcasts. We actually call them pod shots because it's like a concentrated shot of espresso directly into your brain as we deal with various actuarial aspects of the damages world. And today I want to welcome Annika van der Westhuizen, one of our actuaries here at Munro. Welcome, Annika.
Thanks, Rowan.
So in the previous episode of our podshot, we dealt with life tables and mentioned terms like mortality rates, survival probabilities, and life expectancy. If you haven't watched that podshot, I would advise you to stop right now and go and listen to that, because that's going to give you a great foundation for what we want to look at today, which is really life expectancy adjustments within the context of life expectancy. But before we get there, Annika, why don't you just quickly recap what life expectancy is?
Yes, so life expectancy is the number of additional years a person can expect to live. So if a person's life expectancy is 20 years, you can expect to live another 20 years.
Okay. So when we look at this whole idea of life expectancy being reduced, won't you explain to us what that means then?
Yeah, so if a person's life expectancy has been reduced, it basically means that person's life expectancy is shorter than the life expectancy of the general population of a similar age.
Okay. So then let's get into a little bit more detail. Let's say a claimant's life expectancy has been reduced and they're only expected to live until the age of 50. If you were to calculate their potential loss of earnings, does that mean that you'll stop the calculation at age 50?
No, not at all. So when we calculate the loss of earnings, we project the earnings for the claimant for their entire career. So that would typically be until age 60 to 65. Life expectancy is an average. So if the claimant is expected to live until age 50, there's a roughly 50% chance that they will pass away before age 50 and a roughly 50% chance that they will outlive age 50. So since they can pass away either before age 50 or even outlive age 50, we allow for the probability of surviving each month in the future and therefore project beyond age 50.
So based on the previous podshot that we did, my understanding is that you use standard life tables to allow for the probability of survival. But what if someone's life expectancy has been reduced? How do you take that into account when you do the calculation?
The standard life table that we use for South African claimants is life table 2. If there is an opinion by a life expectancy expert that indicates reduced life expectancy, then we need to adjust the survival probabilities. So what we would typically do is use a starting life table, so mostly life table 2, and then adjust the survival probabilities by a fixed percentage such that the life expectancy equals the required life expectancy that the expert indicated. Let's rather explain it in terms of an example. Based on life table 2, a 40-year-old male has a life expectancy of an additional 32 years. If, however, there's a life expectancy expert report indicating that a 40-year-old male claimant has a reduced life expectancy of, let's say, only 20 years, then we will adjust the survival probabilities from life table 2 by a fixed percentage such that it results in a future life expectancy of 20 years.
Okay. So now let's talk about a little bit of a different type of scenario. What if the claimant's life expectancy has been reduced to having cerebral palsy, for example?
Yeah, so our method is a bit different for claimants with cerebral palsy, and that is based on a paper that was presented at the Actuarial Society of South Africa's convention in 2020. The authors of that paper noted that the shape of a life table for a cerebral palsy individual is significantly different to the shape of general population life tables. The authors then proceeded to produce life tables that are more suitable for claimants with cerebral palsy, and that was based on studies that was done in California in the US. Our approach is to use the relevant cerebral palsy life table and then adjust the survival probabilities by a fixed percentage such that the future life expectancy equals the required South African life expectancy based on a life expectancy expert opinion.
Okay, so that's assuming you have an expert opinion. What happens in the situation where someone has cerebral palsy, or the claimant has cerebral palsy, but no expert evidence or expert opinion is provided with respect to life expectancy? How do you cope with that?
So in the absence of a life expectancy expert opinion, we follow the percentage of normal method. And what that means is, let's say the Californian-based cerebral palsy life expectancy is 60% of US general population life expectancy, so the percentage of normal is 60%, then we'd say that 60% of South Africa general population life expectancy is considered a reasonable estimate of the claimant's life expectancy.
Okay. So we've dealt with quite a few technical concepts today, and this is the beauty of a pod shot, is that you can stop, rewind, go and listen to again and get a better understanding, even slow it down if you need to. But as we start to close off, can you perhaps summarize how you allow for reduced life expectancy in your calculations?
Yes, I think the main thing is that we always start with a life table that has the most appropriate shape, and then adjust those survival probabilities to produce the required life expectancy. So let's say, let's use an example with a claimant that has epilepsy. If there's a claimant with epilepsy and there's a life expectancy expert report indicating that the claimant's life expectancy has been reduced by 3 years, then we will typically use life table 2 and then adjust the survival probabilities to produce the required life expectancy that is 3 years shorter than general population, as that's what the life expectancy expert indicated. For a claimant with cerebral palsy, we would use the relevant cerebral palsy life table, even though it was developed in a Californian context. The reason for that is, since the research show that the shape of a life table for cerebral palsy claimant is significantly different to the shape of general population life tables, we want to use the cerebral palsy life table for its unique shape and then adjust that life table to produce the required South African life expectancy.
Great. Hi, my name is Rowan. I am a trustee of the Kamvalethu Foundation. I'm not sure if you're aware that together with Monroe Forensic Actuaries, you as our client are making a contribution to the education of children in under-resourced areas. For every report that you instruct us on, we give a contribution to Kamvalethu, who supports our project partners in these areas. But you can go even further by making a donation. If you go to our website, monroefa.com, and click on the Giving Back tab, you will find more information. Thank you for your support. Thanks so much, Annika. I trust that you watching have got a better understanding of how the actuaries deal with reduced life expectancy in the context of different unique situations. If you have any comments, then please will you leave them in the space provided below. And you can also send us comments or questions at actuary@monroefa.com. Then I invite you to go and look at our website, which has a rich reservoir of resources, access to previous training, webinars, industry templates, and most importantly, where you can subscribe to our newsletter, where you'll get this episode of our podshot. We also have a link to Monroe TV, which is our YouTube channel, where this podshot and many others appear. And there's a history of training and webinars, etc., around the actuarial landscape in the damages community. And then lastly, if you're a client of ours, you have access to our Connect portal. There's a link below as well. And there are a number of tools and resources that you can have access to there as well. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at our next podshot.